The NFL Combine is weird. It's the only job interview you apply for in your underwear. They measure hands, jumping, other jumping, and runny so fasty, all as commentators speak in hushed tones as if they're at the Masters. Has anyone ever shit themselves during the bench press? Just me? GMs, coaches, and owners attend Lucas Oil Stadium and visit the darkest corners of every top steakhouse in Indianapolis to see and discuss players. Make no mistake, this is one big boy frat, and the players are nothing but pledges. Hello and welcome to Shut Up Football. I'm Jeff Stoltzfus, that's Kevin, and this episode, we can't shut up about the NFL Combine. We'll discuss the history and pageantry of this illustrious meat circus and ask the question, why? The Combine first began back in 1982. Cowboys GM Tex Schramm proposed that everyone work players out in a centralized location instead of individually, which just makes sense. The less I have to go places and do shit, the better. Basically, Tex invented DoorDash, but instead of food, sweaty young men. You nasty, Tex! Everyone said yeah, and so it was. The friggin' NFL Combine was born. It's the one chance a player has to get all 32 teams' eyes on them. If you're not invited to the Combine, your next best bet is a pro day. But that is a shared event, and not everyone is going to attend. Plus, if some asshat shows up in camo shorts and blasts ASAP Ferg, it's going to be a bitch of a day. The Combine is your best shot to improve your draft stock. And if you're not invited, you can fuck all the way off. Just kidding, but not really. I mean, there are regional combines too, but nobody cares about those. There was even a veteran combine once, but old people deserved nothing but the grave, so they stopped that nonsense and cited lack of player interest, even though it was lack of wanting to see a bunch of Geritol popping oldies run their wrinkled loose skin in a 40 and going home with your stopwatch smelling like Ben Gay. I would never insinuate metrics are worthless, but I have to wonder if the Combine tracks the metrics that matter most. In an age when we can track the GPS location, daily steps, and heart rate of the average citizen with an Apple Watch, don't we have the technology to record everything we need during the games? Like actual football games? Like more than just one day's worth? Wouldn't a season's worth of live game data be more valuable than just one day? Players train specifically for the Combine, dropping or adding weight, improving their speed, but that's not football. Fastest 40 doesn't mean you're the best player, or Usain Bolt would have a Super Bowl ring by now. And while it might improve the player's draft stock, it doesn't always lead to building a better team. Here's a list of the fastest 40 times ever. We've got one bowler here, a bunch of anonymous randos, a murderer, some busts. John Ross ran so fast his legs exploded, or he strained his calf, one of those. But there are some very important things at the Combine, like medical testing. The players get x-rays, physicals, and evaluated for injuries, plus a urine test, which I hope is a drug screening and not something weird, like taste. And of course, there is the infamous Wonderlic test, an intelligence test built to determine a player's core intellect, decision-making, and motivation. But how exactly? Nobody knows! It's kept confidential, but so are the scores, and that shit leaks like a 2-day-old diaper. Only one guy ever got a perfect score. He was a punter, which just makes sense. Kickers should be the only ones capable of scoring a perfect score. They're the only position that doesn't get curb stomped on a weekly basis. But Mike Mamula scored near perfect, a defensive end. His Combine and Wonderlic score caused the Eagles to select him over Warren Sapp and Derek Brooks, which, if you're too young to remember, was not so smart. Also, Frank Gore famously scored pretty low, but that didn't stop him from a 15-year career and 5 Pro Bowl appearances and the third most career rushing yards. It's almost like it didn't fucking matter. As a televised event, the Combine is pretty worthless. In terms of entertainment, it's just above the Pro Bowl, and just below watching TikTok videos of babies struggle with the concept of object permanence. Despite the NFL trying to bolster interest in it, there's nothing gained by watching it live. The results are best digested in list form, or snippets after the fact. Oh, Johnny ran fast? Good for fucking Johnny. The only fun during the broadcast is watching Rich Eisen run the 40-yard dash in a suit, which is a professional-ass segue to my next point. The 40-yard dash does not impress me. You know what does? Charity. I want to see who has the fastest feet and the biggest heart. I say, turn the combine into a fundraiser. The 40 becomes a 40 for autism. Wait, for autism? Kevin, are we for or against autism? Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Oh, that is compelling. Okay, it turns out we are against autism. Stop it, autism! You stupid! You know, I once was told that I was on the spectrum. The players should compete by raising money and awareness for charities of their choosing, which gets tracked and talked about during the live broadcast. And, in the end, the one with the most donations becomes King of the Combine! Give them a cape or sash, whatever the kids are into these days. Even if he was drafted in the 7th and cut before camp, he could have a great moment and do a lot of good for others without ever competing in the NFL. And if it is to be believed that character is an important trait, pre-taped interviews with the players about their charity of choice could make for compelling viewing. If someone chooses Alzheimer's treatment because it touched their family, that could be engaging on an emotional level, and way more interesting than the clicky-clacky of stopwatches. Furthermore, the NFL would do well to match the sum total everyone's raised for their charities. The NFL is still going to get all their data. They've got low jacks on all the contestants to track their juggling or hot dog eating or whatever. This would just add an extra bit of competition, engagement, and altruism to a frankly silly and antiquated event. The combine isn't useless, but it is flawed. The drafting process is never going to be perfect. There will always be busts. But is the combine doing its job to help the decision makers make the best, most informed decisions? Is the broadcast the best it can be and worthy of your viewership? Can the whole thing be more than just the underwear Olympics? The answers are no, no, and not yet, but it sure could be. Thanks for watching Shutout Football. We'll catch you next time. Peace!
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys. It sound right, boy.
$3.9. You know, you got a beautiful gooch.